Hey everybody, so welcome to the webinar here. Today we're talking all about family health and dinner time struggles because this is something that comes up quite often. And so I was just introduce myself first if you don't know who I am. So I'm Bethany. I am a certified holistic nutritional consultant. I used to be a previous health nurse and used to help people lose lots of weight in diet clinics and stuff like that. So I have a lot of nursing experience and medical background and stuff as well. So I actually am the founder of Nutritious and Delicious. And I work with clients from all over the world, helping them with their individual health, family health, fertility, hormone health. We deal with a lot of endometriosis, PCOS, all that kind of stuff as well. A lot of complicated situations. So I've been in the industry for now 17 years, all in all, being a nurse and also being a certified holistic nutritional consultant. So today we're going to be talking all about family health because this is a big one that keeps coming up over and over again with the clients that I'm speaking with. Um, and the dinner time struggle is definitely real. And it seems to be the hardest one for, I think, a lot of parents out there because everyone's kind of coming together at the end of the day. And we'll talk about the struggles and everything that goes with this. So the reason I can talk about this too is I am also a mom currently to two boys. They are now 10 and 11 years old. So they're fairly close in age, as you can tell. One will be 12 fairly soon, but I get the chaos of trying to balance family, running a business from home, and somehow trying to stay healthy myself without losing my mind. So I totally understand. I get where you're coming from. I think I just have a lot more tools at my belt because of obviously the work that I do, and I can definitely help you with that as well. So I've been there too. The dinner time struggles, the picky eating happens all the time as well. Wondering if kids are getting enough protein and veggies, understanding that as well. Disagreements with the spouse about how much the kids should be eating or what type of foods, because sometimes maybe cultural differences come into play as well. Feeling like you're always the one responsible for maybe planning the food or shopping for the food, or making the dinners, even like, just kind of trying to find that balance as well at home. And then feeding yourself on the go as a parent as well, because that's a huge one, like trying to, put your needs first as well with the kids. There's a big juggle that's going on, right? So why did I create this webinar? This is something where I firsthand obviously know the challenging situations to try and keep everyone healthy and happy. And what I've noticed, and also for myself too, is always seems to be kind of that limited time, limited energy, and the priorities kind of get mismatched. Um, with the family and kind of everybody's situations going on. So I've worked with many families over the years, going through the same thing, and they've been asking me to do this because this just comes up like all the time. And I think we've kind of come away from that, I guess like one parent would stay home and like make all the food and you'd have a lot more kind of home cooked food. And now we're kind of eating on the go. We have more extracurricular activities going on. Maybe there's two working parents, maybe there's a single parent at home. There's lots of dynamics in different situations. And obviously, like I've been in that situation too, where I've also been a single parent and looking after two little kids and trying to juggle what they need and also what I need. So I totally understand where you're coming from if you also are on your own as well dealing with this. So one thing I hear from parents is how stretched for time they feel, like they're kind of stuck making the same meals over and over again. Maybe kids aren't really open to sort of what they're putting on the table, trying to keep everyone happy and like juggling a million things. So this is kind of why I wanted to come and do this family health webinar for you guys as well. So we're going to go through 7 topics here because these are the ones that I find come up the most. So the first one we're going to go over is parents feeling overwhelmed by health choices. So if you want to kind of take some notes and stuff, you can, because I have a lot of tips and kind of resolutions around this, or you can stop it, replay it if you want to. So parents feeling overwhelmed by health choices. We have, the internet at our fingertips, with our phones and everything. And we're kind of just looking all these things up, and Dr. Google becomes kind of like your new doctor. And a lot of people are kind of coming to me talking more about like conflicting information that's on the web, trends and diets maybe that they followed in the past, or misinformation, and they're kind of teaching these kids by example too, right? So if you've kind of done this throughout like your journey, maybe you've struggled with food, emotional eating yourself. That's another video that we've talked about as well. Binge eating, late night eating, all that kind of stuff. It does trickle into the family, unfortunately, because you are role modeling that whether you like it or not. So, having these really good habits is key to kind of starting that for your health, for your kids, even grandkids and things like that, because you are kind of demonstrating that to them. So a lot of parents kind of come to me with like, I've been told I should do this, or, we think that maybe like this approach is working with our kids, but it isn't, and they're coming to me sort of frustrated. So what works for one kid doesn't work for every other kid, and there's ways we can kind of move around it. A lot of it I find comes down to power struggles and control. So it's never really about the food itself. It's usually behavior that's kind of surrounding it, and we can kind of go through a little bit of that as well. So, like I said, that's a big one. Number one is parents feeling overwhelmed by health choices and kind of coming to me not really sure like where to go. And most people end up kind of eating boxed, chicken fingers and fries, and just something that's simple and easy because they're kind of overwhelmed, right? Number two is struggling with picky eating. So this is a big one, where parents come to me and it could be something like, hey, my daughter or my son, really doesn't like this type of food. Like, it's really hard to get them to eat protein. They often tell me they're making two different meals, maybe one for parent and one for kids. And the ones for kids, aren't usually that healthy. And they're saying their kids are refusing to eat anything they put on the table. So there's a couple of things we can talk about in terms of overcoming this mealtime stress and picky eaters. So these are some things that I've tried and tested, done it myself. Doesn't always work for every family, but it's something that you can have some tools in your toolbox as well to go away with today. So one thing I like to do for children that are fairly picky, to start with, is involving kids, letting them choose the ingredients. And that honestly starts not just in the kitchen, but at the grocery store. So I usually suggest, if it's too chaotic, to take, all your kids to the grocery store. If you have somebody that can watch the other kids, maybe just take one kid at a time and rotate. That's also a good way of kids feeling like they have sort of a little bit more time with you, and attention, because obviously kids are always, looking for the attention as well from us as parents. So it's a good idea to kind of ask each kid, which one, which box do you want? What kind of veggie do you want? What color? Even like little 2-3-year-olds, giving them those little choices, holding two things up and saying like, which one do you want to try? And then they feel like they have some kind of a role in it. This also leads over into cooking. And I know a lot of parents say like, it's easier to cook, do it myself, but your kids need to also learn eventually how to make meals for themselves, even simple snacks. So even giving, kids a little bit more responsibility in the kitchen, like a gradual introduction to it, prepping the table, washing veggies if they're little, not giving them a knife until they're old enough, obviously. And just kind of getting them to have a little bit more choice. Like, what kind of stuff do you want in the salad? What dressing? Like, what should we put on the table? And also just kind of showing them how you're cooking the food as well, or letting them stir the pot. Obviously just being aware of safety and everything as well with like little kids, but gradually increasing that responsibility a little bit by little over the years with them as well. And they'll feel like they have a really good part of making dinner. So then they're proud of it. They sit down, they're like, I picked that vegetable. Like I made that with mom or dad or whoever. And I got to stir the ingredients. So they feel like they've contributed and they're more likely to eat the food as well. Another one is gradual introduction of food as well, because I think a lot of people, it's like the New Year's resolutions that happen. They kind of go like, oh, let's just like start taking sugar out the pantry and like ripping everything away from everybody. Nobody likes that. And then you will have a lot of chaos in your family if you start kind of like pulling away all the snacks. You have to do things gradually, and introduce things slowly, because if you've eaten a certain way, change in general, you do not want to be like just putting stuff onto everybody. And then all of a sudden everyone's like, I don't want to eat this vegetable. So introducing food slowly, offer new foods with favorite foods. And this is kind of more association. So if you're pairing sort of veggies, you want to put them with like maybe fruit. So it's something sweet that then maybe they'll more likely eat it. For example, if you do a salad or something, you could add like berries if they're more sweet tooth. Babies, it's the same thing. It's like when you start introducing foods, they're not usually keen on the vegetables. They want the fruit puree because it's sweet, it's tasty, right? Like typically we go for the things that are more enjoyable. So that's something where you could gradually introduce as well. The big one at the dinner table is staying calm. And this one's easier said than done because this is where I think most of the battles are happening. And parents are just like, I give up, or they're disagreeing with a partner or relative over how much a kid should eat or what types of foods the kid should be eating. And everyone sort of has an opinion. So, staying calm and sort of going in with a plan of action. The adults kind of need to be on the same page and sort of understanding if you're going to a relative's house, maybe having sort of a plan of action that maybe it's between you and your spouse. And that's something that you would probably have to do kind of ahead of time. Establishing a routine. This is a big one for children mainly because not all families sit and eat dinner together. We make a big priority to sit down quite often during the weekday and also the weekend to at least have dinner together and establishing that set meal time and a routine of it, because then everyone knows kind of what to expect. It's hard when there's like extracurricular activities and stuff going on. But at the same time, you don't want to kind of keep running around and like eating in the car, eating on the soccer field, and like everyone's kind of doing their own thing because it's not building that sense of connection that this is what families do. They eat together, they talk about their day. It's not all geared just to kind of around food. And this is a cultural thing too. We do come together around food. So we're kind of building those values and instilling them on our children from an early age. So you can honestly start this at any time and just starting to kind of establish that. Whether you do breakfast together, whether you do maybe lunches on the weekend together, if that's the only time you have, maybe a couple of meals during the week and taking turns, it gets better. And I think those are the behaviors that we need to kind of start implementing as well. Another one for picky eaters is don't give up on the veggies. So sometimes parents will say like, my kids will not eat this certain kind of vegetable, this certain kind of food. And I've tried and I've forced them and I've done all these things. And, I've like dipped it in sugar or whatever, butter, and it's not worked. So I would say don't give up because there's always a different way we can kind of get those fruits and veggies or whatever it is that your kids are eating protein as well in. And I've tried and true tested this myself. So for example, in my household, my boys do not like zucchinis. And what I did was I actually made some burgers and I grated the zucchini into the burger and then I mashed it in. And then the burgers were super moist and super tasty. And, I seasoned it and everything. And then the boys finished their burgers. And I'm like, did you enjoy your burgers? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, that they had zucchini in them. And they were like, what? Like we had no idea. It tasted so good. So example is something like that. Another one was I usually eat the nori, which is seaweed paper. And yeah, it's not that great. It kind of does taste like the sea. But I put it into some salad rolls and then I put it with some dip and I rolled it up. And I think at first they were kind of looking at it like, I know what this is in it, but I think it's mind over matter sometimes. When they were eating it, they had the rice noodles and all the veggies and the basil and everything that they loved in it and the chicken, and they were dipping it in like a sweet chili sauce. So they actually couldn't taste it and they were quite amazed. And they're like, wow, like we can't even taste it. And we know it's good for us, but like it is really tasty. I really enjoyed that. Thank you. So I know little things like that. You can definitely get them in. Pasta sauce is a good one to add in things to. Like another one was mushrooms. My boys do not like mushrooms whatsoever, but I've been able to get a few mushrooms cut up very finely and put them into a pasta sauce. And again, same thing. They don't really realize until after they've had the meal. I'm like, did you enjoy the mushrooms? And they're like, wow, like we didn't even know they had mushrooms in it. So just stuff like that. Like don't give up just because one vegetable is kind of, sneered at the table or anything like that. Like a lot of kids are not big vegetable fans to start off with. There's ways we can work around to kind of get them introduced in a way that they would enjoy them. So, number three, the next topic is lack of time to focus on family health. So, this is where between work and school and extracurricular activities, it feels like there's just no time to focus on healthy meals or exercise or anything like that because we're in such a busy society now. Like I said, most households now, there's two parents working, extra activities, maybe mom and dad have extra activities like going on as well, hobbies. Everybody's got stuff like happening. So it seems like the family's kind of doing different things at different times. So a couple of some tips on this is time saving meal ideas for families. So um, one thing I like to recommend to families is batch cooking. Now, this is really good and can freeze meals in advance. So that way you always have something ready to go. I'm not talking about like boxed frozen packaged food. I'm talking more about like you've made a dinner, but you've actually made quite a few portions of it. So you have lots of leftovers. And I'm a big component of that. We love to sort of make lots of different, maybe like cornbread or curries, soups or stews, things like that. And you can like refreeze them and put them in different like packages. So you have a couple of different extra meals to heat up. And then you don't have to cook every single time in the week as well. I'm a big component of this one is one pan meals. So this is minimizing the cleanup as well. And basically what you're doing is you're putting your protein, say you have like a salmon on one sheet of pan, and then you've got your roasted veggies on there, maybe some potatoes, and you're basically cooking it all up together to make it like a one pan meal. And that's really good. You can do that with chicken as well, cover it up and put your, marinade and things like that on it. You can put different vegetables, roast different types as well on there. And again, one pan meals are quick and easy. Another one is repurposing leftovers. So creations of maybe one meal you can turn into another meal. So for example, what we like to do is like we'll cook up, say, like ground meat, some kind of ground meat. It will go into maybe like tacos one night, and then the next night we'll do like a nacho bowl or something. And the kids love that because it's super creative and you can kind of have different versatile things. And you could make it into many different things. Ground meat can go into like stuffed peppers and you can put some sauce in there. So just some quick and easy ideas like that is at least cooking up that protein, and you can versatile, like put it in different things for the family. Ones for families on the go that are kind of eating in the car or on the soccer field, swimming tournaments, all that kind of stuff, is pre-packed snack boxes. So you could do kind of like a charcuterie, like bento box, healthy snacks ahead of time. And then that way they kind of still get like the protein, the veggies, and it's not like a sit down dinner. So like, again, I still am a big component of trying to get at least a couple of meals during the week at the dinner table. But if you're kind of in a bit of a pinch, then you're kind of making like these bento boxes, pre-packed snack pack kind of things. So everything's like pre-cut up. And you can put them into like many different containers. And that way everyone's not sitting down and like eating a curry, in a to-go box or something that's like more difficult to eat on the go. And then another one for families is cooking up protein ahead of time. I find this really helps in our house because usually when you go and buy, obviously, meat and things like that, you usually have them in giant packs. And so we usually just split up the meat into different portions. And then what we'll do is we'll cook that up, or we'll make a giant like chicken and then cook that up. And then we have lots of different protein for different meals. And we kind of eat that throughout the week. So that's really good. Easy to have that on hand in the fridge, because sometimes there are like nights where either you don't want to cook, you're really exhausted emotionally, physically, whatever it is. Um, or there's times where you're like, oh, we've got something going on. We need to get out of the house, or we need to go to this appointment or something, and I forgot about it. And we don't have time to like make a dinner. So at least like the protein's there and you can easily put something together, like a quick chicken Caesar salad or something like that. And you can just kind of put something together on the fly, which is really, really helpful, I find, especially with families, because there's so much going on. Number 4 is parental guilt. So this is where a lot of parents coming up to me feeling like they're not doing enough when it comes to their kids' health. But I'm here to tell you, like, no one's perfect. And it takes like small steps to make a big difference. Like I said, like you can't change your whole family's dynamic of eating overnight. It does take time, but it's these little wins that we want to focus on. And these are the wins that we want to see, because over time, as we kind of introduce these recipes, introduce new like foods, like into the, like, it's going to take weeks to kind of get this moving, but eventually within 6 months or so, you're going to see a huge difference in the way you guys are coming together, eating dinner, maybe kids helping, maybe spouse helping, whichever way works for your family. Everyone is going to be unique in their journey. And number 5 is managing kids' energy levels with nutrition. So this comes up again, more so with kids being hyperactivity, not being able to focus on schoolwork, behavior issues, maybe just issues in general with like kids aren't sleeping as well. So like parents will come to me, my kids aren't sleeping or they're not eating. I don't feel like they're getting enough. They can't concentrate at school. They're always tired at this time. So these are kind of things I'm talking about. And after a good balanced meal, it's like day and night compared to when they have these like quick sugary snacks. So a lot of the times kids are kind of sent to school with like a lot of the food that's made in the grocery store is made towards kids picking them out at eye level. So they'll put them on kind of like the level where the kids are. They're usually very, as you know, like brightly colored boxes. Maybe they'll have a cartoon character on it or something that's, a new movie or something, and it's appealing to them, or there's a toy in it. So it's a marketing ploy just to get you to buy it. But a lot of these snacks, honestly, there's so much food coloring, MSG, additives in there that a lot of kids are reacting to. Filler products like soy, a lot of wheat is in there. Modified milk ingredients, which is made in a lab. So like things like this that a lot of parents don't know about or aren't really fully aware. A lot of the kids kind of granola bars, like biscuity things, like a lot of it's carbohydrate based. There's not a lot of nutritional value to it. They're quick, easy, convenient snacks, but they're not actually like nourishing the kids' bodies or brains. So this is where we're seeing a lot more hyperactivity, obesity in children as well, unfortunately, because they're just snacking constantly on like very not nutrient dense food, but like calorie laden food. And then they're more likely to want to eat junk food because the body is now going to be craving more carbohydrate, more sugars, more filler foods. So how we kind of navigate this one is just kind of starting with some basics, and it can start with like one meal a day. Even if it's like one meal, you can get a decent meal into your kids during the day. So managing kids' energy levels and balancing nutrition, I would start suggesting things like complex carbohydrates. So these are carbohydrates that take a while to get into your blood sugar. They don't go in too quickly. So these are things like whole grains, like quinoa, like root vegetables, fruits with skins, things like that. So they have more roughage, more fiber in them. Super healthy and obviously really good for the bowel system as well if kids are kind of struggling in that area too. The ones we want to avoid are simple carbohydrates like white rice, anything that is like fruit juice, because it quickly spikes your blood sugar, white bread, which is quite common in lunches, crackers that are white as well. There's quite a lot out there, unfortunately, like cakes, pastries, cookies, things like that. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't have that in my house or I don't use it. But you actually, like, when you start to read the labels of packages, you'll be quite surprised. Another one is protein at every meal for kids that are struggling with that energy level crash, things like that, including more lean meats and maybe nuts and seeds or beans, lentils, things like that into their food in general. A lot of kids are, like I said, and a lot of adults even are living off carbohydrates. So we are very dense in carbohydrates in the Western society. We do not seem to be eating enough with the women. I've noticed not enough protein in general for the women. And the men are kind of overeating the protein and not getting enough vegetables in. So this is where we're seeing like heart disease and cardiovascular issues, blood pressure issues, things like that. And kids, their energy levels, they're too hyper. Maybe they're not sleeping really well. the growing, all that kind of stuff. Like you just kind of want to be more aware of like what's in our food these days because it's convenience now more than anything. And this is where we need to kind of add a little bit more protein into meals as well. Even things like individual hummus packs work really well if kids are super picky on like meats and things like that. Like they can spread it on whole grain crackers or use corn chips and dip it in. And that's another great way of them kind of getting a different type of protein. A big one for kids is hydration. Can't stress this enough, especially if they're very active. They're doing sports, they're playing outside. Hydrate the kids as much as you possibly can because I know kids are like, I don't want anything, I'm fine. You have to be an advocate for them, whether you put lemons and limes in the water or a couple of berries or a fruit that maybe they like pineapple, just to kind of give it a bit more flavor if they're like, I do not want to drink water. The big ones that kids I find are drinking too much of are sport drinks, pop, way too much sugar. Like I think there's a typical 36 grams of sugar in a can of pop. And for every teaspoon of sugar, it's 4 grams. So if you divide 36 by 4, that's how many teaspoons of sugar is in a can of pop. And you're drinking that, there's no fiber in it, and it goes straight into your blood system, spikes your blood sugar up, and then we're wondering why our kids are hyperactive, right? So that's one where I would suggest if kids are enjoying pop, maybe switch them to club soda, lemons and limes. Nothing that's saying sugar-free because that stuff's super bad for our system too, super unhealthy. So we want to make sure that we're using things that they can actually like ingest that aren't chemicals, because anything that has aspartame or sucralose in it, it's actually not seen as the body doesn't recognize it as food, and that's why it is 0 calories. So that's another whole topic that we could go into as well. Number 6 is fitting in fitness as busy parents. So like this is where families come and they're like, we've got so many activities going on, or the kids just won't get off their gaming stations, like they're addicted to their computers or their phones. And this is where, for us, we talk a lot about this with our kids. Like we get out as much as we possibly can. Even if the weather is bad, like let's just get outside and do something. So for a couple of ways that you can do things together as a family, and it also helps with connection and bonding and stuff like that as well. Make it fun. Make it super creative. You could do like scavenger hunt games. You could play frisbee in the park. You could throw a football, baseball. You could take them to the park, go for a walk together with the family. If you have a dog, take your dog out. Another one for kiddos is like active transportation. So this is where like maybe if you live close by to your daycare or your school, is walking them there or bike riding together, and walking to nearby places like shops and things like that instead of getting in your car all the time. And also parking further away and helping the kids walk. Walking around the mall is another big one. Like I used to do that with my kids when in Calgary here, it can get really cold in the winters. Like we're talking like minus 25, things where you don't want to be outside. And those kind of days, I would literally, because I have 2 boys, I would take my boys to the mall and just like let them like walk, and we keep walking and going around, and they'd feel so exhausted by the end of it because you can honestly do so many laps. And just get them moving because like they need the exercise. If you're kind of looking for a place for them to go, or you could also do things like go to like a play area, obviously like take kids out there as well and they can play indoors. That's another way of doing it if they're really little. Daily exercise. So you could do like short bursts of things, jumping jacks, make them fun. You could do like a competition, like how many like push-ups can you guys do? And the kids would find this really funny and fun, especially, with parents as well. If you've got some pretty active kiddos, you could definitely get that done. You could even do up and down stairs, obviously worry about safety. You don't want to like hurt anybody, but you could, do some squats. You could run up and down the stairs and be like timing everybody. And that's kind of another way of, especially during the winters, or you're stuck at home. I think that's another great way to kind of like getting everybody together and using that competitive nature. And also family workouts. So choosing things on the family, maybe rotate it. Maybe ask each family member, like you all get a turn what do we want to do? Everyone pick a location. Let's maybe walk around this lake today. Somebody else picks another trail that has maybe stairs or a beautiful view. Maybe somebody picks a dog park to go take the dog for a walk, nature walks, anything like that. And involve your family, like bring grandparents if you can, aunts, uncles, things like that. So that's a good way to kind of get the family exercising and making it fun, right? Like nobody really enjoys like working out all the time. I do personally like to work out on my own, but I also love being able to do nature walks, and I go hiking with my kids and things like that. So enjoying yourself as well while you're doing that. And number 7, last but not least, is dealing with parental burnout. So this is big for a lot of families. There's a lot of emotional struggles that are going on, family dynamics that are going on, single parenting, separation, like all that kind of stuff, divorce that goes on with families. There's a lot of heavy stuff that's happening. So there's obviously, days where you're, running on empty, and it's just taking those maybe 30 minutes, even if you've got little kids, and just sitting outside, maybe on your deck, front or back, or balcony, whatever you have, and just like sitting and just like enjoying yourself, like smelling the flowers or having a coffee or waking up maybe just a little bit before your kids would generally wake up. And I used to do that even though my kids used to wake up like, super, super early in the morning. I would always get up maybe an hour before them, either read or I'd do some of my work. And it was nice because it was quiet, because I knew as soon as they'd wake up, the chaos would ensue. But even like young kids too, a lot of kids that like need you, babies, toddlers, preschoolers, like they're very heavy on attention, like your attention span, and they have a lot of needs, right? So this is where maybe when they're having a nap or they're at preschool or somebody has them, like just take that time for yourself. Maybe go get a coffee when you're shopping or whatever it is. Do something for you. It doesn't have to be big. Go for a walk maybe in the park. Just feel like you actually have some kind of reprieve. Or if you're at home and you can't sort of have that reprieve, is put on some headphones. Maybe, while they're quietly playing or watching a movie or something, maybe it's time for you to like 30 minutes sit and journal, or the baby's, in the room with you, sit and journal, or listen to some nice music or a podcast or something like that, but do something for yourself. So kind of in closing, I get it. I've been there. And like I said, I'm here to help. And I totally understand where you're coming from. Like I've done this all myself. And this is why I've actually put together a 6-week family meal plan, and also includes our nutritious and delicious digital recipe book. And I think it has like over 49 recipes in there. And they're all simple, easy to use things that I've done with my kids as well. Whether you want to, work on your own health or work on your family's health, maybe you want to kind of change some of the things that we've been talking about. I'm definitely here to help you. And there's always something there to help you out. The meal plan is made catered to your family if that's what you want, or you can make it catered to you and have your family kind of eat the same way. But yeah, check out the link below in the video here, and you can book a virtual consultation with me. This is where we're going to go over all of these things together. Definitely, if obviously I've struck a nerve in something that I've said that comes up in your family, definitely let's talk about it, and we can kind of find some solutions around it as well, and help you get started either on a family meal plan or work individually together. And also, just as a bonus, I have put in 2 dinner recipes for you to kind of get started in this video description. So make sure you utilize those as well, just to kind of start you out. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. In good health. Bye for now, lovely.